And Narayana Murthy's deepfake now goes viral. Scam video says you can earn up to 2.5 lakh rupees in one day. Murthy issues a public warning. Securities Appellate Tribunal quashes Sebi order in Fibre case against Chitra Ramakrishna, slashes penalties imposed on the National Stock Exchange. Only successor can claim shares or debentures and not nominee, rules Supreme Court. Inheritance or succession to be decided as per a deceased's will or succession laws. And Biryani continues to be the most popular dish, 8th year in a row as per Swiggy's annual report. The report throws up interesting insights into how India orders food. All those stories here on Newsline. With me is Kartik Malhotra. Kartik, hi.
Hi, Shweta.
Good to have you back in the studio.
Good to be back.
Let's begin with the top story that we're tracking, and that is coming in by the way of India's EV dreams. It appears that electric vehicles could now get cheaper, and that is if the sodium-ion battery that KPIT came up with becomes a success.
It's a fascinating story, Shweta, and just trace back the genesis of KPIT as a technology company. In fact, it was one of the late entrants into the IT space and was one to go up against the likes of Infosys and Wipro, and a Pune-based company which decided to find its niche in its early days in 2015-2016 in this whole self-driving automated technology and the electric drive terrain, as it is referred to, where software becomes a key driver in driving automobiles. And this was really the niche that KPIT went out with and was hoping that automated vehicles, self-driving vehicles from Google and Tesla should be out in good time, and its software should be able to power those cars. And look at the transition that KPIT has made. So from being a pure play IT company, it has now become a IT cum chemistry engineering company where it has found, in fact, the first company in India to find perhaps a lucrative alternative to lithium-ion batteries.
Absolutely.
So I think the technology coming in by way of sodium instead of lithium, and sodium replacing lithium in this chemistry of battery cells, where it, of course, by virtue of being a more widely available, cheaper mineral, sodium could be a good alternative to lithium-ion batteries, is what the company is saying. And it may end up becoming a game changer. In fact, news items already suggest that both Tesla as well as BYD, Chinese BYD, are both sort of front runners in testing the sodium-ion batteries in their vehicles. Now, what KPIT is saying is that sodium-ion batteries, in comparison to lithium-ion, not that they will only be cheaper, that of course is the biggest calling card right now, but are also likely to withstand the temperature variations in India from extreme cold to extreme heat. Now, at the same time, sodium-ion batteries, which are being tested right now, and I think those tests are likely to continue for another 3 to 6 months before they will potentially be rolled out, also give much fasting charging facilities to drivers. So in 30 minutes you could have a fully charged car, as opposed to some cases where the lithium-ion battery could take up to a couple of hours to get the full charge. So a great cost advantage, abundance of the resource in itself. Even though India has found its own reserves of lithium, but those are yet to be mined, and those auctions are underway, and we don't know who's going to win the bid to auction those lithium mines. But sodium ion emerging as another alternative to lithium ion, and not just lithium ion, even the conventional regular batteries which are used. And I think this entire debate also gets far more accentuated in the context of COP28, where this energy transition from fossil fuel to renewable gains even more momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes towards India's commitment to renewable sources of energy. But also, come to think of it, where is the use of these batteries? I think that's important to point out. Apart from variety of usage, these sodium-ion batteries could power two-wheelers, three-wheelers, commercial vehicles, which essentially means that not only will they be long-lasting batteries with a bigger lifespan, can be easily charged, but also will bring down perhaps cost of vehicles.
Absolutely right. And it's not just mobility. In fact, even this whole energy storage infrastructure which is being built, and that energy being stored and transmitted back to be used either as UPS or alternatives to the regular thermal based power grids. This whole debate around what kind of batteries should you use for power storage now gets another entrant in KPIT and another technology by way of sodium ion batteries.
And the input cost for India to import import rare earth minerals, that is also going to go down.
Absolutely.
With
right.
lithium being a very tricky substance to either discover, to find and to mine. We've discovered lithium ion ores, but we have not been able to mine them in the country. And it is imperative, therefore, to perhaps develop on this technology. This is just something that KPIT has introduced now. A mass production and mass development is still awaited.
So sodium ion batteries per se are not new to the world. In fact, there are 3 other players in the world who are already developing these sodium ion. This is the first in India. And I think the mass scale of adoption of any technology as it happens in India, it doesn't happen elsewhere in the developed world, given the sheer size of, I mean, even if our percentage of electric mobility is low, as a percentage of the total number of cars being sold or total number of two-wheelers being sold in the country, I think by sheer volume, any player who comes into the pure numbers, right, not a percentage, the absolute number, any player who comes with a new technology will find a much wider market, not by market share, not by percentage, but in absolute numbers. And if this technology gets tested and is taken up commercially rolled out and taken up by EV manufacturers, and if we see great uses and great sort of, utility of this new technology, which comes at a cheaper cost, then obviously for KPIT and for anybody else who's dabbling into this new technology, the whole world is out there, because this entire energy transition is just beginning to happen all over the world.
All right. So for energy transition, this is a golden opportunity as far as we can see for KPIT, which has now come up with sodium ion batteries in India. Well, up next is an interesting story yet again with respect to what's happening in the deepfake, an ongoing deepfake menace in India that is untamed at the moment. Narayana Murthy, the IT veteran, says he has now been subject to a deepfake video. In the video claims that one can earn up to 2.5 lakh rupees in just a single day. Have you seen the video, Karthik?
I haven't seen the video, to be honest, and when I tried to search for it also, I wasn't really sure that the videos that I'm watching, are these the ones that he's referring to? Are these real? Are these fake? But the specific videos that he's referring to, which link Mr. Narayana Murthy, a very, very admired entrepreneur and a very admired sort of stalwart of corporate India, despite the recent controversies where he's asked people to work longer than they want to. But that notwithstanding, I think the linkages of Mr. Narayana Murthy with Bitcoin trading firms, with algo trading firms, with momentum trading firms, which are using his voice or his video, as the case may be, getting people to believe in their product and getting people, investors, stroke traders, to latch on to those platforms and park their money there, invest their money or trade with their money there, is something that Mr. Murthy has called out, saying that he has no connection whatsoever with either those technologies, the algo trading, momentum trading technologies, or trade practices as they are used, which are very, very different from fundamental market-based trading or investing. So he's called those out, and then there are linkages with Bitcoin companies. There's a British Bitcoin, there's a BTC, etc. And Bitcoin, as we all know, is still sort of, in that legal, illegal, acceptable, non-acceptable territory in India, while there's a tax imposed on Bitcoins and any earnings that you derive from Bitcoins, which cannot be offset against the losses you incur by trading on Bitcoins. At the same time, we don't have a regulatory framework on Bitcoin and or cryptocurrencies of all kinds. So I think, and those debates have also been on for a long time, including the G20 presidency that India was leading, and thereafter even in multiple other forums. But overall, Narayana Murthy has come out and said he has nothing to do whatsoever. He's issued this public warning that his face, his video, his name being used in association with perhaps platforms that offer trading formats that he does not subscribe to. He has no relation to it. And this again comes, what, a day or so after, 2 days after Nitin Kamath released on his own Twitter handle a video which sees an AI-generated video that sees him really talk a lot of sense, which he mostly does. Talk a lot of sense and really, go deep into right ways to invest, what investment should mean for you, India's growth, all of that, which seems absolutely in sync with somebody like Nitin Kamath to go out and go there and put out on social media. And at the end of the video saying that, hey, by the way, whatever you're watching, it's not really me, it's my deep fake. So I don't know, nobody knows yet whether he himself generated it or and put it out there, or he discovered it somewhere and used it in the context of calling out against deep fake. But We also know at the same time that India's own regulatory framework is under development. What is the kind of legislation?
Before we go to regulation, I think also very interesting to point out how exciting and dangerous this is at the same time. And I saw the Nitin Kamath video, and we saw that in the newsroom yesterday. One could not have made out whether it's true or fake. So the video there on your screens, very interestingly, which everybody believed to be true, towards the end of it, he himself says, oh, by the way, this is AI generated. And many people, very young people to people who barely have dabbled with technology, are actually capable of generating such a thing sitting in the confines of their home. So while on one hand it's easy access, on the other hand it is extremely dangerous. Hence the call for regulation that we were coming to. The government continues to say that there will be regulations. The regulations, by the way, haven't really come in so far. Even the advisories have been issued, but a firm regulation is not out just as yet. Not even an interim one. But I believe this will take time, Karthik, before government can come out with a regulation that in itself does not hamper the prospect of AI development, at the same time is able to contain some sort of this growing menace and put a full stop to
Right.
this.
So I think that debate is still rife in India. That does India want to go the US way, which is a light touch regulation, or the EU way, which is a heavy-handed regulation? And I think social media, big tech companies, platforms across the world, especially the bigger ones like Google, Meta, etc., coming out and really warning India against a heavy-handed regulation. And they're saying that European Union has been stifling the development and innovation of AI because of its heavy-handed regulation, while US offers a much better environment where there is light touch regulation, but there is also room for innovation. And which of the two, or something in between, a medium touch regulation perhaps that India may adopt. But I think there are enough and more statements which have come out from the IT ministry which are now hinting to a possibility that perhaps up until elections and up until the new government takes office in 2024, we may not have a full-fledged AI regulation. And it's only perhaps in July next year that some sort of a new regulatory framework for AI would come about. At the same time, what Google is also saying is that that it may not be wise for India to categorize or bucket everything that AI does in one single category. And there are different aspects of AI, deepfake being just one of them, where perhaps little heavier regulation may do the job, but then there is a lot more that AI does in addition to miscreants creating some artificial synthetic content out there which can either spread misinformation, disinformation, or confuse people on its veracity and its authenticity. But I think that sort of balance is going to be hard for India to achieve, hard for any country to achieve for that matter. But July is when some sort of a regulation would come in, hopefully. But until then, obviously, we don't know what heavy-handedness or light touch India should look at.
Come July, perhaps some regulation will kick in as far as regulation of AI is concerned. But with that, it's time for a short, quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a bit.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now. ChatGPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today?
All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition that cannot be automated or repeated or replaced by a machine.
ChatGPT may kill many companies.
A human has to be in the loop with an ability to control this.
Dark Side of the Boon. Streaming now.
Yes, the scale of the attack surprised us.
When you get a series of alerts, 16 intelligence alerts, if Maharashtra government at that time had alerted the Coast Guard and the Navy, this 2611 would not have happened at all.
And one of the details they had planned was to use these dhagas to mislead the investigative agencies.
All this was to be presented as a Hindu terror.
So it was a Pakistan operation. The LET was the front end.
As the attacks were on, it was clear that they were planned and launched from Pakistani territory.
For all of those victims of terror that was exported from Pakistan over the years, including but not limited to 2611.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. Chitra Ramakrishna, the NSE, National Stock Exchange famed, who is battling controversy, seems to have some relief now by the way of a appellate tribunal, which is a Securities Appellate Tribunal, which has now quashed Sebi order in case of dark fibre. Now, in the dark fibre case, which is apart from all the other controversies that she's currently saddled with, it appears that SAT has gone a little light on the penalty that she will have to pay.
So I wouldn't want to sort of, call it light or realistic or whatever. I think, the tribunal has ruled and has quashed the Sebi order. But I think it's important to look at it in context. While the Securities Appellate Tribunal has upheld Sebi's observations on Chitra Ramakrishna and her aide Anand Subramaniam, both being negligent and both not having done due diligence in the matters which have related to multiple scams. One of them, of course, being the Colo scam, which came to light in 2012, 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And a ruling was passed on that many years later. What was this case really, Shweta? This case was about a few brokers, a very select few brokers, actually getting access to NSE's co-location servers. And that sort of co-lo scam came from the co-location servers, where there was this sort of a fiber network laid out for a few brokers to get access to market movements ahead of the rest of the pack. And this helped them allegedly make unlawful gains on account of movement of stock markets. Now, this entire sort of controversy came into light along with many other controversies that Chitra Ramakrishna was embroiled in and entangled in, including this yogi guru, Himalayan sort of guru that she would follow and would take directions from, so to speak, in many of her official responsibilities at NSE as the managing director and CEO, including promotion of Anand Subramaniam, who apparently did not come from markets experience or BFSI experience, and being fairly inexperienced and young, given a lot of responsibilities at NSE. But anyway, that is a larger story. In the case of this co-location servers, the Colo scam or the dark fiber scam, as it was referred to, there was, of course, a Sebi investigation, and that Sebi investigation found NSE, Chitra Ramakrishna, as well as Anand Subramaniam, all three of them guilty of negligence, of not doing due diligence, and unfavorable gains accruing to a select few brokers or brokerages. Now, in that case, there was, of course, a large penalty imposed by Sebi on Chitra Ramakrishna to the tune of 5 crore rupees, on NSE itself to the tune of 7 crore rupees and to Anand Subramaniam to the tune of 4 crore rupees. Now, this matter has been doing the rounds of courts for the last 1.5 years or so. This ruling, if I'm not mistaken, came out in June or July 2022. And now finally, the Securities Appellate Tribunal has actually quashed the Sebi order. It has removed the penalty on NSE, the entire 7 crore rupees. It has not sustained the penalty on Anand Subramaniam to the tune of about 4 crore rupees. And in the case of Chitra Ramakrishna, the penalty has been reduced from 5 crore rupees to only 25 lakh rupees. So obviously a massive relief for Chitra Ramakrishna, but this is just one of the multiple charges against her of misgovernance, and we don't know what happens next, and what is going to be the verdict and what is going to be the investigation on the rest of the charges that she's battling right now. But for this Colo scam, particularly the dark fiber scam, penalty for Chitra Ramakrishna has been reduced from 5 crore rupees to only 25 lakh rupees.
Right, absolutely. Chitra Ramakrishna getting some sort of relief there as far as Securities Appellate Tribunal is concerned. But shifting focus to a story that is coming by the way of a succession claim, and who can claim, in fact, succession when it comes to shares and debentures. According to a new ruling by Supreme Court, only people who are either a part of the inheritance, the will or the succession plan, or according to succession laws, can claim an inheritance after the said person is deceased. Now, this will have ramifications for, I think, everybody out there who is either devising or not devising a succession plan, or comes out with a will or does not come out with a will, because the person you have nominated essentially for your mutual funds and to all the other wealth that you accrue over a period of time, that nominee will not get it until you have a successor in place. Is that the reading of the Supreme Court?
So, Shweta, as I read it, the Supreme Court ruling has actually upheld a previous division bench of the Bombay High Court, which had also ruled similarly, specifically in the context of shares and debentures, stating that a nominee on the share certificate or the debenture certificate is in fact nothing but the caretaker of that particular asset until it is passed on to the real legal inheritor. And a nominee, even if you are named on the certificate as a nominee, it just assigns you as a caretaker to ensure that it is rightfully passed on to the legal successor. And the Supreme Court has upheld this Bombay High Court verdict, which was challenged in 2017, stating very, very clearly that the succession laws or the will of the person who has deceased will determine that the shares and debentures, these assets, will be passed on to whom. In the absence of a will, the regular succession laws are going to take precedence, and the nominee, the name of the nominee on the documents, on the certificates of shares and debentures, only entrust that particular nominee to take care of transferring those assets to the legal successor, and it does not make them the default inheritor of the wealth.
Right.
Now, you're right. Right now, it is limited to shares and debentures, but I think this opens up a whole new debate on mutual funds, fixed deposits, lockers. All of these require nominees, and in fact, banks
money
have
invested in markets. Perhaps.
Markets, that's what I think. So, shares and debentures have been given a sort of, the clarity has come in by way of Supreme Court. But I think all other market-linked instruments like mutual funds, your fixed deposits, bank lockers, nominee may or may not be the legal inheritor of that wealth. So, I think it opens up this whole debate about being a nominee is likely to be just being the caretaker of the wealth and not the owner of that wealth.
That wealth. So, if let's take a quick example. Let's say I do not leave a will behind, but I have nominated and I make active investments in the markets, and I have nominated a certain individual. Let's say a friend, can't nominate a friend, but let's say my parents, and I don't leave a will behind. In which case, as per either the succession laws, because there is no will in place, either my children or my spouse will get the wealth.
That's right.
Will get those instruments of investment, and not my parents. So either the will would stay or the succession plan.
I mean, I'm not sure about parents being rightful inheritors or not, but succession laws is what we'll have to dig deeper into.
Right.
And whichever of the relationships takes precedence is going to be the legal inheritor, notwithstanding what name you've put as a nominee on your documents.
All right, so those are interesting details coming in. But before we move ahead, let me quickly get in my colleague Udisha Srivastava to join us perhaps on what India ordered in 2023. We don't have much time. In just under 30 seconds, Udisha, I believe biryani for the 8th consecutive year is the most ordered food.
I was about to reveal that later after some teasing, but as you mentioned that yes, biryani is the topmost ordered food in 2023.
Hyderabadi or Lucknowi?
That
we don't know.
We don't know. But
Sure.
what we know is that for every 5.5 chicken biryani orders, we had one veg biryani order. So that's what we had. So
there's still something called like a veg biryani then.
Yes, yes. So and biryani has ordered. So this is the 8th edition of the list that Swiggy released, and the list is called How India Swiggied in 2023. So 8th time, so, biryani is topping the list, and the number of orders per second we had of biryani specifically, these are 2.5. People who made first time account on Swiggy, they debuted with a biryani order, and the number of people who debuted with a biryani order were in the tune of 2.49 million. Now the searches for biryani, people searching for different types of biryani, now the searches were over 40 lakh times. And during the India and Pakistan World Cup match, the number of orders per minute that Swiggy was clocking was 250. And every 6 biryani was ordered from Hyderabad. So
perhaps Hyderabadi biryani
is the answer.
All right.
Yes.
I think with that we have run out of time. We will of course keep bringing you all details as to what India ordered perhaps later in the show. Keep watching News 9.
I recently received a friend request from Mahira Sharma. Now, we seem to have a lot of friends in common on social media, particularly from the military veterans community. But something about her didn't quite add up. So we decided to investigate. Now, honey traps as an espionage tool are nothing new. They've been around for centuries. But Pakistan's ISI, their spy agency, has been perfecting honey traps in the virtual space. Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
Mahira Sharma, a young, good-looking woman in her 20s. Her Facebook profile said she was a clerk in a nationalized bank in Pune. Our editor's profile picture had an Air Force aircraft. He had several former military officers in his friends list. Mahira Sharma had 62 friends, all of them males and many of them serving and retired military and government officials. We began our investigation. We found 3 more Facebook accounts with the exact same profile picture and name. Another Facebook profile, Gauri Sharma, had the same work profile as Mahira. That confirmed our suspicion that both accounts were fake. We decided to dig further. We first called the bank. They confirmed that no one by this name worked there. We then approached 2 of their followers and asked them whether they personally knew these women. They said they had never met them. It was not clear why they had accepted the friend request.
Our investigation led us to a list of honey trappers trained in Pakistan. Pakistani intelligence operatives run these fake accounts. They have only one target: Indian men in uniform. These women are trained to speak in Indian dialects.
Indian military intelligence officials confirmed to us that Mahira Sharma was one of hundreds of fake profiles created by Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI. She was the bait for a honey trap.
Etc. We try to educate our people, but a lot of our journalists and a lot of our public professionals, etc., believe that they are not vulnerable, they have got nothing to hide. But what happens in something is, Mahira Sharma tries to approach me on LinkedIn, and if I find that she is connected to some famous editor whom I know, so my trust factor and the chance of me lowering the guard is very much there. So it is that one person, that one breach will lead to multiple other breaches. The trust factor is, oh, Mahira Sharma is friends with Sandeep Punditan, my friend. Okay, maybe she's, I take the first, and she says, Sandy said, I may not check back because Sandy is a big, busy man. So that's how it starts off.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who's making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person. I have also got in my Twitter account. I'm only on the Twitter handle, and suddenly I have to literally report and block the particular handles. So one, the female will be there in a semi-nude. The beauty is, the AI works so well. How long have you looked at the photo? You just seen it and changed the screen. You've done a gaze. 2-second gaze, 3-second gaze, a minute gaze. Are you repetitively going back to that handle? Your weakness is known.
So the ISI is a professional intelligence agency, and since you said that their nation's motivation is, their raison d'etre for existing is to, seemingly defeat our nation and wrest Kashmir, that is what they openly say, and they have created a vast infrastructure to defeat this nation. And being a professional organization, they look at multiple ways to infiltrate our nation, get military information, because we are a militarily superior power. So they run these operation, and the information age, it is but natural they will create Mahira Sharmas and try to infiltrate.
Pradeep Kurulkar was the director of Pune-based Defence Research and Development Organization. The DRDO is India's premier military R&D organization developing crucial defence equipment, including strategic missiles. In June 2020, Kurulkar received a WhatsApp message from Zara Dasgupta. Zara claimed that she was a software engineer from UK. Then the video chats began. Zara began sending nude photographs and videos to Kurulkar. Soon, she began asking for top secret information on India's defence preparedness. Kurulkar passed data on the BrahMos cruise missile and test details of a yet to be revealed Agni 6 nuclear ballistic missile. The 58-year-old scientist was entrapped.
इस वक्त की बड़ी खबर, डीआरडीओ के डायरेक्टर प्रदीप कुरूलकर गिरफ्तार हो गए हैं। उन पर पाकिस्तान इंटेलिजेंस को इन्फॉर्मेशन देने का आरोप लगा है।
Kurulkar was arrested by Indian police in May 2023. The woman who called herself Zara Dasgupta was operating from Pakistan, not the UK. There was another twist here. Kurulkar was convinced Zara was a real person. She had met him in Pune in December 2020. Police believe this yet to be identified woman was an imposter hired for the honey trap. The Zara Dasgupta Kurulkar was chatting with was a Pakistani intelligence operative based in either Karachi or Lahore. Pakistan's ISI runs an institute in Karachi to train women on how to honey trap Indians working at crucial government positions. Pradeep Kurulkar is their biggest catch till date.
Robin Sage experiment is a experiment done by an American security researcher called Thomas Ryan. Okay, 2009 he created a profile on LinkedIn and took the face from a pornographic website of a young lady and created a fake profile about her in a couple of in other social media. This saying she's a researcher who's worked in the US Navy and she's got 10 years experience, etc., etc. And immediately she started requesting people who had security clearance in the US military as well as the strategic community, and she managed to make a lot of friends over there. So, and he presented it later as a study, a very famous study, saying getting in bed with Robin Sage.
They identify the person who either has information or who has access to the information. It is not necessarily defense personnel only. So it's anywhere and everywhere. If India was making vaccines, you think people won't be interested what exactly they're doing there?
What people don't realize is security is weakest at the top. Security is usually very tight down below because people down below are, come under a security and a disciplinary regime. But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
What is predominant in this honey trapping cases is that most of the victims, the majority of the victims which have been even arrested by the intelligence agencies in the past 6 to 7 years, more than the honey trap, they have been the victims of a malware which was installed in their phones in disguise of a chat